If you ever miss the last train at night, pray that another one doesn't arrive. Because some trains don't take you home. They take you back to the moment you regret the most. And once you board the midnight line, time doesn't move forward anymore. It only takes things away. It was just after midnight when I arrived at the old railway station. The place wasn't on any map anymore. No digital boards, no ticket machines, no announcements echoing through speakers. Just a single platform, cracked concrete under my feet, and a station clock that had stopped at exactly 12:17. I remember checking my phone. No signal. No time. As if the world itself had decided to look away. I wasn't supposed to be there. Earlier that night, I had fallen asleep on the subway ride home. When I woke up, the train was empty. Every seat vacant. Every light flickering. And when the doors opened, this was the station I stepped into. At first, I thought it was a mistake. A wrong stop. A maintenance platform. But then I noticed something unsettling. The air was cold, unnaturally cold, and completely still. No wind. No distant city noise. Not even the hum of electricity. Just silence so thick it pressed against my ears. Behind me, the subway doors closed. The train I came on vanished into the tunnel without a sound. That's when I saw the sign. A rusted metal board hung crooked above the platform. Its letters were faded, but still readable. Midnight line, final departure pending. I felt a strange pull in my chest, like the station itself was watching me, waiting. I wasn't alone. At the far end of the platform stood a few figures. Maybe 4, maybe 5. They didn't move. They didn't speak. They just stood there, staring down the tracks. I walked closer, my footsteps echoing too loudly in the silence. As I passed them, I noticed something deeply wrong. They looked human, but hollow. Their eyes were open, yet unfocused, like mannequins pretending to be people. One of them, a woman in a long gray coat, slowly turned her head toward me. Her lips moved. "The train is late," she whispered. Her voice didn't sound like it came from her mouth. It sounded distant, stretched, as if it had traveled a long way to reach me. I asked her what line this was. She didn't answer. None of them did. Suddenly, the station lights flickered once, twice, then stabilized. And from deep within the tunnel, I heard it. A low metallic rumble. The sound of something massive moving through darkness. The figures straightened instantly, like they had been activated by the noise. Their empty eyes fixed on the tunnel ahead. The train was coming. As it approached, the air grew heavier. The temperature dropped even more. My breath turned visible, fog curling from my mouth. Then it emerged. The train was old, far older than any subway I had ever seen. Its exterior was blackened steel, scratched and dented, as if it had been traveling for decades or centuries. There were no lights inside the windows. No conductor. No destination sign. The doors slid open with a slow, agonizing screech. One by one, the figures stepped forward. They boarded the train in complete silence. No hesitation. No fear. Like this was something they had done many times before. I should have stayed behind. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to run. But as the last figure stepped inside, something impossible happened. The woman in the gray coat stopped at the door and turned back toward me. This time, her eyes were different. They were wide, alert, terrified. "You still have time," she said urgently. "Don't get on." The doors slammed shut. The train remained motionless. The station clock began to tick again. 12:18. A mechanical voice echoed from nowhere and everywhere at once. Final boarding. The train doors reopened, and I realized something horrifying. The platform behind me was gone. Only darkness remained. With nowhere else to go, and the sound of the ticking clock growing louder, I took my first step toward the vanishing train. I didn't know it yet, but once you board the midnight line, time doesn't move forward anymore. It only takes things away. The moment I stepped onto the train, the doors shut behind me. Not slammed, not rushed, just a calm, final click, like a lock sealing forever. Inside, the air felt wrong. It wasn't just cold anymore. It was heavy, thick, like breathing through memory instead of oxygen. The lights above flickered dimly, casting long shadows that didn't quite match the shapes beneath them. The train began to move. No jolt, no acceleration, just motion, sudden and silent, as if the world outside had started sliding backward. I looked around. The passengers sat perfectly still in their seats, hands folded, eyes forward. None of them blinked. None of them breathed, at least not in any way I could see. Their reflections in the windows were distorted, delayed, like the glass was struggling to remember what they looked like. I chose an empty seat near the middle of the car. The seat cushion sank far deeper than it should have, as if someone had been sitting there for a very long time, waiting for me to return. That's when the voice came back. Not from a speaker, not from any direction at all. Welcome aboard the Midnight Line. The voice was calm, neutral, almost gentle. This train makes no scheduled stops. A faint metallic screech echoed through the car, like distant wheels grinding against forgotten rails. For your comfort, the voice continued. Please remain seated until your destination is reached. My destination? I stood up. The instant I did, every passenger turned their head toward me at the exact same time. The sound of it, dozens of necks moving together, made my stomach drop. Their eyes were still empty, but now I could see something else behind them. Fear. Not fresh fear. Old fear. Worn thin from repetition. I asked them where this train was going. No one answered. Then the man across from me slowly raised his hand. His skin was pale, almost translucent, veins faintly visible beneath the surface. His lips trembled as if they weren't used to moving anymore. It goes, he said quietly, where you were supposed to stop. Before I could ask what that meant, the train lights flickered again. The windows went completely black. No tunnel, no motion outside, just endless darkness. And in that darkness, faces appeared. Hundreds of them, pressing against the glass from the outside. Their mouths open in silent screams. Their hands flattened against the windows, leaving faint marks that faded almost immediately, like fingerprints made of shadow. The passengers around me lowered their heads. Some covered their ears. Others shut their eyes. One woman began whispering over and over again, her voice barely audible. I didn't mean to miss it. I didn't mean to miss it. I didn't mean to miss it. The voice returned. Reminder, it said, time is not lost. It is reassigned. A sudden realization hit me. This train wasn't taking people somewhere new. It was taking them away from where they should have been. Missed moments. Missed choices. Lives that slipped 1 second too late. I felt something brush against my leg. I looked down. A small card had slid across the floor and stopped at my feet. A ticket. Old, yellowed, edges curled with age. On it, printed in faded black ink, were words that made my heart race. Passenger name, mine. Departure time, 12:17 a.m. Return, not guaranteed. My hands shook as I picked it up. That was the exact time the station clock had stopped. The woman in the gray coat, the one who warned me, slowly stood up from her seat near the front of the car. She looked different now. More solid. More alive. They don't tell you the truth, she said softly. This train doesn't run on rails. The lights above us dimmed even further. It runs on regret. Suddenly, the train began to slow. A deep, echoing screech filled the air as if the tracks themselves were screaming. Outside the windows, something began to form. A platform, not like the one I had left behind. This one was broken, twisted, surrounded by endless darkness. The voice spoke one last time. Next stop, it announced. Recognition. The doors began to open, and every passenger on the train stood up at once. Part 3, the stop called recognition. The doors opened slowly. A long, broken platform stretched out before us, floating in total darkness. There were no walls, no ceiling, just the platform and the endless void beyond it. The air outside felt heavier than inside the train, like stepping into a place where time had been holding its breath. No one moved. Then the woman in the gray coat stepped forward. "This is where it starts," she said quietly. Recognition. One by one, the passengers walked off the train. Not all at once. Not in a rush. Each person stepped onto the platform as if pulled by something invisible, something personal. I followed them. The moment my foot touched the platform, the train doors slammed shut behind me. The sound echoed endlessly. The lights above the platform flickered on, and suddenly, the darkness around us filled with images, scenes, memories. They hovered in the air like broken screens, surrounding each passenger. Everyone was staring at something different. A man collapsed to his knees, staring at a vision only he could see. A woman screamed and covered her face, shaking her head violently. I looked up, and I saw my own reflection, not in a mirror. In a moment, I remembered all too well. I was standing in my apartment doorway, months earlier, my phone buzzing in my hand, a missed call notification glowing on the screen. I remembered that night. I had been tired, annoyed, distracted. I had told myself, I'll call back later. The memory shifted. The next image appeared. A hospital hallway. Bright lights. A doctor shaking his head. My chest tightened. Around me, the platform filled with sound. Crying. Whispering. Screams cut short by realization. "This train shows you the moment," the woman in gray said, standing beside me. The moment where everything could have changed. I asked her why she looked different now. She took a slow breath. Because I already recognized mine. Her memory appeared beside her. A crosswalk. A flashing red hand. A single step forward. "I rushed," she said. "I was late." Her voice cracked. "I always thought I had more time." The images began to move closer to us, pressing in, forcing each passenger to relive their moment again, and again, and again. The voice returned, deeper now, less neutral. Recognition complete for current passengers. The platform shook. Some of the passengers began to fade. Not disappear, unravel. Like smoke being pulled backward. One man reached out toward his memory, screaming, "Please, just one more chance." But the darkness took him. I grabbed the woman's arm. "What happens after this?" I demanded. She looked at me with eyes full of something worse than fear. "Some people stay," she said. "And some people become part of the train." A deep rumble echoed beneath us. The platform began to crack. Across the broken floor, a new doorway appeared, glowing faintly. Above it, a single word burned into the darkness: "Return." Hope surged through me. I ran toward it. But before I could reach the door, the voice boomed again. "Return eligibility under review." The doorway flickered. Another word appeared beneath it. "Cost required." I stopped. "What cost?" I shouted. The woman in gray stepped back. "You don't get to return alone," she said softly. "Someone has to take your place." The truth hit me like ice. The midnight line wasn't just showing regret. It was collecting replacements. The platform split open. The train reappeared below us, waiting, hungry, alive. And I realized something horrifying. The train hadn't chosen me by accident. It had been waiting for me since 1217. The words echoed in my skull. "Someone has to take your place." Before I could ask what that meant, the air around the platform shifted. The ticking clocks froze at 1217, their hands trembling like they were afraid to move forward. I stepped back. The platform felt thinner now, less real. My feet didn't make sound when I moved. I looked down at my hands. They were starting to blur. "No," I whispered. "I didn't agree to this." The woman finally turned to face me fully. Up close, her eyes weren't eyes at all, just reflections, like dark windows of the train itself. "No one ever agrees," she said. "Recognition isn't permission. It's confirmation." The walls of the station peeled away, revealing endless tracks twisting into darkness. Names appeared briefly in the air, flickering, fading, hundreds of them. "People who noticed the midnight line," she continued. "People who understood it was real. People who stayed." I felt the pull then. Not physical, something deeper. Like memory being dragged out of me. Every regret. Every moment I wished I could go back. That's the price, she said softly. You want to return? Something must remain. Around us, the remaining passengers began to change. Their outlines blurred. Their faces lost detail. Their bodies stretched unnaturally, shadows clinging to them like chains. They stayed too long, the woman said quietly. When recognition ends, the train needs conductors, watchers, reminders. I watched as one man's shadow detached itself completely, sinking down into the train below. His body followed, folding into darkness like paper soaked in ink. The train lights flickered on. For the first time, I saw inside clearly. Rows and rows of empty seats. Waiting. The voice lowered, becoming almost personal. Passenger, it said, your return remains possible. The doorway brightened. But balance must be restored. I looked back at my memory. The missed call, the unopened door, the moment I had told myself later. My chest ached. What happens to the one who stays? I asked. The woman met my eyes. They forget why they're here, she said. And eventually, they stop remembering who they were. She stepped closer to the edge of the platform. I've been here a long time, she continued. Long enough to remember every version of myself that didn't make it back. I realized then why she looked more alive than the others. She had already chosen once. You were supposed to return, I said. She nodded, but I hesitated. The platform shook harder. The return doorway began to collapse, pieces of light falling away like ash. Decision window closing, the voice warned. I felt the pull of the train below me, not physical, but emotional. It tugged at every regret, every unfinished thought, every moment I wished I could change. I understood now. The midnight line didn't feed on fear. It fed on what people were willing to sacrifice. The woman stepped back from the edge and looked at me one last time. If you choose to go back, she said, don't waste it. She smiled faintly. Some moments only come once. The voice thundered. Final choice. The platform split directly between us. The train surged upward, doors opening wide. The return doorway flickered, barely holding together. I had seconds, and I knew whatever I chose next would decide more than just my fate. Time slowed to a crawl. The platform split wider, pieces breaking away and falling into the darkness below. The midnight line rose toward me, its doors open, waiting. The return doorway flickered like a dying star. The woman in the gray coat stood on the opposite side of the fracture, calm now. Certain. You don't have much time, she said. The voice echoed one last time. Choose. I looked at the train, then at the doorway, then at the memory still hovering in the air, my phone buzzing, the call I never returned. I understood something then. Going back wouldn't erase the regret. It would only give me a chance to live with it differently. I stepped toward the return doorway. The train let out a sound, deep and hollow, like disappointment. The woman closed her eyes. The moment I crossed the threshold, the world shattered into light. I woke up on a subway seat. The train was moving. Normal. Loud. Full of people staring at their phones, unaware of how close midnight really was. My phone buzzed in my hand. Time. 12:16 a.m. 1 minute earlier. My heart pounded as I stood up, pushing through the crowded car. When the doors opened at the next stop, I ran. I didn't look back. I made the call. This time, it was answered. Life went on. Days passed. Weeks. Months. But some things never fully leave you. Sometimes, late at night, I hear a distant rumble beneath the city. A sound too deep to belong to any normal train. And sometimes, when I'm standing on a platform just after midnight, I see something strange. An empty track, a clock frozen at 12:17, and a train that isn't listed on any schedule. No lights, no destination, just a single open door. Waiting, because the midnight line never stops running. It only waits for people who believe they still have time. And if you ever miss the last train home, be careful. The next one might not take you where you want to go.
If this story kept you awake, then the next one will haunt you even more. Subscribe to Night Narratives 2.0 and never miss the darkness.